YouTube, what's going on? Welcome to another reaction video. Oh boy, do we have just a monumental one, a massive one today. A gargantuan, there is not a grand enough word to describe the scale of the video we're doing today. We'll just jump into it. Led Zeppelin. Stairway to Heaven. The time has come. I've not been living under a rock. Sure, it's a reaction channel. There's a lot of these. You see these reaction videos, and I always say, sometimes I'll listen to music I don't think I've heard, and then I realise I've heard it. Sometimes we do stuff on the channel that I have heard before, and we just discuss it. Regardless how you want to spin it, I haven't been living under a rock. I'm aware of Led Zeppelin. I'm aware of Stairway to Heaven. I'm aware of the nature of this song's existence, the fact that it's so highly loved, critically acclaimed. It's seen by many as one of the greatest rock songs of all time. And this is a song that I definitely, over the course of my life, have consumed parts of secondhand. I think I know the riff or the core melody, but then the song's 8 minutes long, which I honestly didn't even realize until now. So I'm guessing that it's not the little melody I've got in my head. I'm guessing that doesn't go through the whole 8 minutes. So this is one of those. It's such a big song, and if you're new to the channel, if you've been here for a while, you'll know this. But if you're new to the channel, I like to be transparent with all this stuff. And I like to say my context going into Stairway to Heaven. I've definitely heard parts of it, when I was younger. I know little bits here or there. I've never been exposed to this song in my life. However, I couldn't regurgitate a lyric to you. I couldn't sing it for you right now. I couldn't whip my, it's not in my head. Either way, maybe I'll recognize more of it as I start to listen to it. But regardless, I'm here to sit down and absorb it. I've never sat down and appreciated the song and absorbed the song. I've been holding off for a little while because Led Zeppelin for a while wouldn't let people do reactions, and then like a year ago or so they started letting people, so everyone on the planet was doing Led Zeppelin reactions. I held off a little bit, but I've been saying since I've come back from lockdown and I've started recording again, I wanted a new journey to go on. It feels like it's time for a Led Zeppelin journey. So today we're going to begin and see what Stairway to Heaven has to offer, and then have a little bit of a chat about it, as we like to do, do a little bit of a breakdown, give my thoughts. Okay, Stairway to Heaven, the Led Zeppelin journey begins here. So this is the bit I was referring to. I know that acoustic melody, that's the bit.
There's a lady who's sure all that glitters is gold, and she's buying the stairway to heaven. When she gets there, she knows if the stores are all closed, with a word she can get what she came for. She's buying a stairway to heaven. There's a sign on the wall, but she wants to be sure, 'cause sometimes words have two meanings. In a tree by the brook, there's a songbird who sings. Sometimes all of our thoughts misgiven.
Ooh, alright, here we go. Okay, because I feel like it's going somewhere. We'll do a pause there. We've got to sprinkle a couple pauses in for fair use purposes. I'm trying to I'm following the story. I'm trying to listen to the words, but at the same time, I kind of just want to fade back into it and just let it run. But I like that. So I reckon it was that little acoustic melody that was running through is what I knew. As soon as it picked up a bit, immediately I'm in a new world now. I don't know what I'm hearing, but I like that it has this. It feels like it's building. It feels like it's progressing somewhere. And, we're only 3 of 8 minutes in, so I can't wait to see where it goes. But it feels like it's it started out with this little acoustic, and then you've got these little I don't even know flutes, pan flutes or something in the background that were added in, and now it's it's kicked up a little bit. There's a bit more drumming going on, and the same guitar melodies there, but it's a bit louder. I like the way it feels like it's building. It feels like, the vocals, he's telling a story, and it feels like the music is complementing that in a way that you feel like the story is progressing, not just from what you're hearing him say, but from how the music is kind of putting it forward as well. We continue.
Soon, if we all call the tune, then the piper will lead us to reason, and a new day will dawn for those who stand long, and the forests will echo with laughter.
Step up.
It's just a sprinkling for the May Queen. Yes, there are 2 paths you can go by, but in the long run, there's still time to change the road you're on. And it makes me wonder. You don't know, the piper's calling you to join him. Dear lady, can you hear the wind blow? And did you know your stairway lies on the whispering wind?
And he just leaves you with that. He just leaves you with that. That was one of those that from that pause at the 3-minute mark, that 5 minutes shot by like it was one. I was like, oh, it's an 8-minute song. That feels like we're in 2 pause territory. It feels like we're in 2 pause territory. It just shot one thing and it built, and then the vocals, I've got to say, I don't want to say came out of nowhere because you could tell it was building, but when it was building, when I was listening to the solo, I was like, this is what I meant when it said we were building. This is what we were building towards. This solo, and he's like going nuts on his guitar. You're really getting into it, and then the solo finishes. There's more, baby. Yeah, the vocals. I don't know if it's just because like that was the one thing. It felt like the way that musically the way the song was building. It felt like the vocals were still quite consistent throughout, and I almost felt like that meant that they hit a little bit harder when he kind of went for it at the end. Because when the music was building, and you felt like a solo was coming or some sort of like, crescendo or whatever. That it was building into something. So then when the solo hit, I was like, hell yeah, dude, this is what we were building for. This is what we've been waiting for. But then because the vocals were so like I said, consistent throughout, and he kind of kept the same tone and he kept the same sort of feeling to his voice. When he came in after the solo, it was like, oh shit, there's more. We're really going for it. Woo. Okay. So I just wanted, I just wanted to get my immediate post-song reaction, but I got right at the end of the song, my phone popped up saying it was about to run out of battery. So maybe I'll charge it and then come back and do read through the lyrics in a second. I just wanted to get some of the, but yeah, I just wanted to get the immediate reaction. I mean, any song that's like, I'm just collecting my thoughts. It packed a punch. Like emotionally, and also I'm a little bit out of breath. I don't even know why. It's not like I've moved or anything. I've just been. Whew. Stairway to Heaven, Led Zeppelin, and any song that sort of pushes, it was like, the 8-minute plus mark, and you can listen to it and be like, well, where did 8 minutes just go? So it's a story. There's a whole story here, and it's one of those where it would be interesting to kind of how much do we want to go into lyrics, because how much do I want to just like sit here and read the story? So so my phone is about to die. So what I'm going to do is I will jump cut and I will have a quick because it was a story, so it's not like I'm going to have a read through the lyrics now because I'll read through the whole thing again, and then I'll talk about after, just because my phone's going to die. So it's a bit. I'll see you in a second. Right, I'm back. I've got juice. I've got about 45%. I've had a bit of a read, and I kind of just like went through the story a little bit. I think I'm ready to. Don't worry about that. Just a little bit. Just my mouse falling over. We're not going to worry too much about that sound. Yeah, look, I had a bit of a read through the story, and because it was one of those where I was listening to the story and I wanted to hear what he had to say, but the song was so like transcendental orally that it was like it's hard to really hone in on it. It's hard to really focus on it because I'm like half the time I'm just floating. You're just fading away into the song. So I've had a bit of a read through. What I can tell, I think there's a lot of a focus on. I mean, the song's called "Stairway to Heaven." I think a lot of the focus, and I will say, the bio on Genius says that one of the great things about this song is that there's a lot of vagueness in the lyrics. There's a lot that's open to interpretation. And obviously, if you've been on the channel for a while, you know that I absolutely love that. I love that different people draw different thoughts and feelings from what they listen to based on, how their brains operate or, your life experiences and that sort of thing. You're going to listen to music and you're going to draw your own interpretations. And I do feel like this song is one of those songs that as I listen to it more, as I listen to it at different stages in my life, I might draw different things from it. I might listen to it 10 years from now and have a different thought that pops into my mind as I'm listening to it, But as far as a first listen goes, a first reaction goes, and obviously tell me in the comments what you guys think or what you've taken from this song or what it means to you or whatever. But I feel like this is very much on the focus of the stairway to heaven, the Jacob's ladder transition up. I don't know if it's not necessarily a real stairway, maybe just using that as a metaphor or the imagery, but that kind of transition into heaven. And there's this woman, and he is watching. And then kind of narrating, but then reflecting on his own feelings as well, based on what he's seeing. And from what I can tell, there's a lot of I like the Piper references, and then we'll come to those in a sec. But it kind of starts out. He's observing this woman, and she's talking about she's sure all that glitters is gold. She's buying a stairway to heaven. When she gets there, she knows if all the stores are closed, with a word she can get what she came for. So someone who is important, or feels like they are of a lot of importance. With a word, she can get what she came for. She only sees she only sees gold. Maybe she's had like a sheltered life. Maybe she's just used to getting everything she wants, so she doesn't deal with any negatives. There's a sign on the wall, but she wants to be sure, because sometimes words have two meanings. So she's kind of like, I feel like she's the starting point. He sees this, and then this sets him on like a mental journey, I guess, and he starts to thinking. Because then in verse 2, he pivots to talking about his own feelings when he looks to the west, and his spirit is crying for leaving. And so is that I wonder if it's kind of like the sun, maybe. He's watching the sunset. That's kind of what I can think the reference to the west. He's watching the sunset, and as the sun leaves, that sort of sense of leaving, he feels like he wants that. I can look at it, because everything, this is my thing, because I don't want to get too caught up into just like reading it, or reading like explanations of what's happening. I'm trying to, I want to give you guys my thoughts, and I'm clicking on all the lyrics, and like every individual line is annotated, and every annotation has like 2 paragraphs. So I don't just want to sit here reading it, Sunsets in the west. He's hoping to leave this earth. Given Led Zeppelin's fondness of Lord of the Rings references, it may be allusion to the idea of the West, the undying lands, the Middle Earth presented in Tolkien's mythology. In general, the elves go there to live out eternity in peace with friends and family, a thinly veiled concept of heaven. There you go. So that's a nice little reference there. And it's whispered that soon, if we call the tune, then the piper will lead us to reason. If we all call the tune. So that's kind of when they say, he who pays the piper calls the tune. But then he's saying if we all call the tune, the piper will lead us to reason. But then if you don't call the tune, it's like bad things happen. A new day will dawn for those who stand long. So I'm kind of, see, now I'm thinking about this, and it's whispered that soon if we all call the tune. So he's saying maybe like he's looking at this woman, potentially, to bring it back to her and seeing how different she is with her approach in life, and he's maybe suggesting that we should all come together, we should all be working together, we shouldn't be worrying about our own paths into heaven, as she may be, as an individual, she's just focused on what she has to do to get into heaven, or will she get into heaven, and he's maybe saying that maybe we should, be less focused on the individual and more focused on the group, and us all doing better, I guess. Which, religious connotations aside, is just a thing, especially with everything that's gone on this year. I think the people coming together is a very important thing. If there's a bustle in your hedgerow, don't be alarmed now. It's just a spring clean for the May Queen. Yes, there are 2 paths you can go by, but in the long run, there's still time to change the road you're on. So that kind of says me, in the long run, there's still time to. Okay, so similar to what I just said, I'm kind of putting puzzle pieces together. So if she's maybe not on the right path to righteousness, she's too selfish, or too demanding, maybe she's not helping other people, there's no selflessness there, there's no altruism there, and maybe he's saying there's 2 paths you can go down, the good and the bad. The good and the bad is the simple way, the path to righteousness, but he's kind of still saying that no matter what situation you're in, as long as you're still alive, there's always still that chance to kind of repent, I guess. I didn't realise this was going to be so religious, which sounds stupid because it's called Stairway to Heaven, and heaven is innately a religious concept. And it depends on, different people have different thoughts and feelings on it. Some people still believe in heaven and aren't religious, but I'm really having to dig deep into the Christianity here within me. Your head is humming and it won't go. In case you don't know, the piper's calling you to join him. Dear lady, can you hear the blow? And did you know your stairway lies on the whispering wind? So we're coming back to the piper now, and now he's going, okay. So earlier he was saying if we all call the tune together, we could progress peacefully. But because we aren't, because of people who are selfishly focused, potentially, just an interpretation, the piper is now calling you to join him. He's calling her, but not in the sense of like he's going to lead us peacefully, in the sense of like the snake in the Garden of Eden sort of thing, because she's not calling the tune herself, because she's got that self-doubt of like there's the sign on the wall, but words can mean different things, so she's got that little bit of self-doubt within herself, or the doubt about things. so she's not confident enough to call the tune, but she's also not working with other people, so she's getting like led astray maybe. As we wind down the road, our shadows taller than the soul, there walks a lady we all know who shines white light and wants to show. How everything turns to gold, and if you listen very hard, the tune will come to you at last, when all are one and one is all, to be a rock and not to roll. And then obviously the last line, and she's bound to Stairway to Heaven. So that's why I think she's important, because even though it talks about her and then it talks about him, it does come back to her. So that's why I feel like she's a very important part of the story. And then obviously there's a couple references later on to things that were said earlier. There walks a lady we all know, which I assume is the lady he's talking about, who shines white light and wants to show how everything still turns to gold. If you listen very hard, the tune will come to you at last. So is that the Piper's tune again? Okay, so now it's talking about spiritual journeys. Okay, so I'm trying to put it in the perspective of the story. I feel like that's kind of like what the way I've just taken it is kind of, that's just an interpretation. That's just where I've gone with it. But I do feel like I see what the thing at the start set means when it says the vagueness of the lyrics also allows listeners to interpret the song in their own way, adding to the magic and the mystery of the track. And it did have that feel like musically as well. It was quite had just that kind of like mysterious aura to it. It kind of was just like, I don't know, you're just in it, and you kind of, it's one of those where I feel like it kind of engages with your brain a lot. And then at that point, it's up to you to kind of react however you're going to, think however you're going to, process however you're going to process that. But so okay, so I guess my takeaway, without sitting here and, you know, I'm on the second recording, so I don't know how long it's been going. What, like 25 minutes in. So without this turning into just like a bunch of rambling, I think my overall takeaway would be, I need to listen to it a few more times. It would probably be my overall takeaway. Just that transition from life to the afterlife, and what I've always loved. There is a I think it's a Buddhist concept, and I don't know if I'm getting the original. I don't know where it originally came from, is what I'm saying. So my apologies for that. And I guess I could look it up and try and figure out. But I know that I think it's a Buddhist concept, but it's also a quite prevalent concept in Stoicism, which is a philosophical school. And the idea is that you should, regardless of whether you believe in the afterlife or in a form of judgment, you should always live a life of virtue and of righteousness. Because if there is an afterlife and you live a life of virtue, you will progress through to the afterlife, and it will have been for good reasons. If there is a God and they are unjust, then you don't want their judgment anyway. If there is no God and no judgment and no afterlife, then you've still lived a virtuous life, which is still a good thing, right? I've always really liked that kind of concept of, I don't know if there's an afterlife, dude. Do we need to go into that now? Probably not, because we'll be here forever, and this video is long enough. But I like the idea of just living that sort of virtuous life. And I always wonder if he's kind of looking at this woman, and he's kind of reflecting on himself and seeing how desperate she is to get into heaven, or maybe not, or how worried she is about her transition into heaven. And obviously the chorus is just makes me wonder. So I feel like it's that kind of looking outward at the world, and then kind of thinking about how that affects you personally, but also how you can affect the world. I don't know, dude. I feel like I'm rambling, and part of me thinks that's a good thing. Part of me thinks that in itself is kind of reflective of the song and what the song's done for me in terms of a reaction. It's got me thinking. It's got the ball rolling. What was that line at the end? To be a rock and not to roll. It's rolling. I'm rolling. Something's rolling. The last two lines deliver the song's punchline. We are all one together. Help each other find truth. Get as many people as you can to see the beauty in the better angels of our nature. We have to be steadfast, rock, and not waver, roll. And it's a pun on rock and roll. Yeah, I caught that one. I managed to figure that one out. Okay, so you know what? I think we just let it be. I think we just let it be. I think that's what we do, and people can share, just peruse the discourse in the comments. Like, let me know what your thoughts are. Let's converse. And importantly, now that the Zeppelin journey is beginning to roll, where do I go next? I don't know. I know Stairway to Heaven. They're one of those bands that are so big that I've probably heard maybe a couple other songs, but I don't know. I couldn't name them. So, just tell me, where do I go next? Just throw songs at me. Live performances are always welcome as well, and we'll take it from there. So, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I guess I feel like that was a bit all over the place, and I feel like that was maybe good. I feel like that was good. So, thanks for watching. Everyone enjoyed. If you're new, be sure to subscribe for other reactions and throw suggestions. A like is always vastly appreciated. And I'll see everyone in the next video. Okay. Peace, guys.